We're here today with Dharmendra Patel. He's the founder and CEO of Aussizz Group.
In this podcast, we're going to talk about AuRA, Aussizz Reliable Assistant, our new members of Aussizz Group.
What is AuRA?
Thinking about the AI, how the things are going in the buzz, and everyone is talking about how the AI is going to change the landscape. Aussizz has always been actually, innovative, and we always been actually in R&D, thinking about like how we can leverage the industry.
Yep.
We comes up with the idea that how we should have like one smart system within the office, which can become like a member of our work culture and can be assistant to every workforce, every single scenario. Launch our first version of AuRA. Mm-hmm. The full form of AuRA is Aussizz Reliable Assistant, and there's also a story behind it. Anyway, we'll discuss about it later. But the idea for AuRA was like empowering each staff members with the intelligence within their area of expertise, which can actually brings the precision and the speed and accuracy, and which can actually enhance the customer experience and can also help us like to grow our business in a much faster in this innovative world.
Why launch it now?
Obviously, as the AI was evolving, it's not like we know everything. We had a will and grit to go for it, right? We've been actually researching and trying things like last 2 years, and since last 1 year, like we've been actually working on this particular chatbot where we really wanted something to be like part of our culture where it just doesn't actually work within one area, and so we also see the AI is going to be like a very much norms in the industry, and as we always been leading the industry, we just want to actually prove ourselves again. Just like when the social media came as a part of our culture, our industry, in 2010, like when Facebook just announced their paid marketing, we've been part of that era where even like many people were doubting to having the website in our industry. Same like we've been like the first podcaster in Facebook live, the same way like we did Google pay-per-click in 2011, which was like early adoption of the technology. And I think similarly, we just want to adopt the AI. I'm sure like, in next few years, it's going to be norms in the industry.
Yep.
But as like we're going to jump in, we're going to lead the ways, I think it is the culture and it is the spirit of Aussizz, and we just want to keep it alive.
One of the concerns that I think a lot of people have with AI is that AI will replace people. I think one of the big things about using a migration agent is you want that personal contact with a human being on the other side. What impact is it going to have? Is it going to replace people in terms of consultations, or how does it work?
Migration agent is not just about like giving the advice just because they know the things. It's about like dealing with the emotion of the people. It's like about understanding the personal need and the client situation, and understanding the complexity of the immigration and navigating the person with the right tools, techniques, and sometimes with the prediction. Obviously it's a regulating industry as well, because it is the industry where people comes with so much of hope and expectation, and sometimes it's easy for them to fall in trap. It's not like AI is there so people don't need a migration agent, because Google was always there. You know what I mean? Even the migration agent is providing the information was always available on the internet. But still, like because migration agent is someone who's expert in that domain, who understands the trend, who understands the government policies and procedures, who understands the need of the individual, who understands the emotion. The person can deal with the many different factors which AI cannot just deliver in all possible way. Yes, AI can certainly help with the quite intelligent information, and it can comes with the speed and accuracy, but rest of the factors still needs a human touch. So I believe that like AI will actually efficient the industry, not replace the industry.
So you still be dealing with a person on the other side. The tool, the AuRA tool, just helps make them more efficient.
Yes. So AuRA tools will just make them efficient. So it's all about like bringing the efficiency, accuracy, speeds, and enhancing the client experience. And obviously, whatever we are today is just because clients trusting us, and we deliver what their expectation and their need is.
What can customers expect from Aussizz as a result of having?
At this stage, we are not actually executing the AuRA on the client end for many reasons. Obviously, the compliance and the regulation of the industries and all those things. We are actually just releasing the tool like within the Aussizz to our the team members.
Yeah.
And what it will do is like it will actually act as a tool which can actually gives them a speed, accuracy, and more reliable assistant. It means that like say for example, if client is consulting in Aussizz and if his case is complex complicated. Say, for example, the team members had not been experienced that kind of case before, and obviously we have the internal support system where the persons can actually go and ask other consultants who may have experienced a similar case. But sometimes, due to the nature of business, some other people are busy and sometimes they comes like little bit late to resolve the query sometime next day, you know what I mean? But meanwhile, that particular person is actually confused and he may be actually trying to get the answer by himself, but he's just not confident. So how he would feel in that way and how he would actually address the client scenario. Obviously, in this case, even client has to wait until the person's coming back with the accurate answer, right? Yep. That's where like AuRA comes in picture. If the person is asking that questions to the AuRA is actually comes up with a very clear and precise and a very explanatory answer with the reference of the legislation, and it means that like the person can be like more confident, accurate, and can validate the information through the legislation. This is just the beginning, but obviously over the period, as we will understand more the regulation and the policies of the government, we will actually try to build the tools and integrate the tools in a way where it can actually enhance the client experience in a much better way.
One of the I suppose criticisms of AI, we look at things like OpenAI, DeepSeek, even Copilot, that the system can hallucinate and make up its own facts. What measures is Aussizz putting in place to make sure that this doesn't happen with AuRA?
Basically, what it happens is like you are training the model on large language model, and then you are actually creating the system which can actually thinks like a human, acts like a human, and can actually gives the response. Obviously, it's a technology, so it doesn't tire. It has like intense intelligence because it can actually go through billions of queries, right? What we have done, we have actually just used the similar fundamentals like how this bigger AI models are working on. Right, but they are actually working in a general way. Like it has like a huge database, huge information, and there's the chances that like it can actually create the confusions and complexity. And that was the whole idea, because I know that like a lot of people says why we should not ask the questions on ChatGPT and can get the answer. But my thing was that like in immigration world, we have to understand this, that like the answer, if it is like 1 or 2 persons wrong, that is a big problem. So say for example, most of the student knows that like what should be their process, and most of the people doing by themselves are getting the visa as well. But why they are using the professional? They are using the professionals because even though 1% advice or 1% directions, if you get lost, you are actually losing out your chances to stay illegally in this country, and sometimes also it can cost you the permanent residency opportunity, right? And that's where like it was much more important for us to come with the tool which just don't actually predict the answer and which should not be like giving the answer say 90 or 95% accurate, right? So that's where like we have actually comes with the idea that we will create our own language model, and where we will actually use the same database of the legislation federal government has published, like Migration Act and Migration Regulation. So we use the Migration Act and Migration Regulation to train our model, and also like we also have like lots of case studies and day-to-day work, which we have actually used as training the model in a similar way how the Aussizz has been working in the individual cases like as a human being, right? And now and that's why like it takes an year to train the model, to understand and to calibrate the things, and to test it to the level where it can actually answer even the complex cases in a very accurate manner, right? And that's why like what will happen is like now if you ask the question, it will not just answer the question, but it will also answer the questions based with the legislative reference. So it's just that like how in a manual way, you have the books and you are actually going through the page by page and you're trying to figure out the reference. Whereas like someone says like go on 24 page and find this and the answer is here, you know what I mean? While it also interprets the answer in very simplified language. So you understand the information in a simple way, but at the same time you can validate the information with the accurate resource, So
it not just gives you suggestions, it also validates it against the actual Migration Act itself. Even though the customer doesn't see that information, from an agent's perspective at the back end, they're seeing the act and how it applies to it, so they're not going, oh, this is something that's been made up. It's actually factually backed as well.
It's actually factual based, yeah.
We talked about the name AuRA. Where did the name come from?
Okay, so as obviously like we've been researching on the tool since a year, obviously we always used to say that like AI tool, AI brain, something like that. So my team was actually just pronouncing the name according to their own convenience, And when we have actually, take a breakthrough where we got the accurate answer, we thought like, wait, now it's time, to launch to the team, because initially there was like very small team about the testing, as like they've been giving the feedback, and that's what like helping our developer to understand, more in much mature way that like in which direction they are going. So when we took a breakthrough, we realized that like now it's time when we have to give this new member in our family a name, right? And idea was very very simple. They're like, can we do it something which can actually gives a touch of AI, and at the same time, obviously, we want to showcase the Aussizz work culture, because it's going to be a member of every single person working in Aussizz in any department. Obviously, we just started with the migration, but we're going to extend the capabilities into every single department, be it like education, HR, sales, the tech side, any side, and even accounting, right? So we really wanted to name it, where it looks like, it's like a member of the family, not just like, some kind of tools or something. We comes up with a lots of name, but everything was actually looks like too much hypothetical. And then we took the inspiration from, bigger CRMs like, Zoho and Salesforce, where, Zoho has a Zia and Salesforce has an Agent Force. And we thought like, we should have something like, which can actually, gives that blend and that feeling to our people, that AuRA is not just a tech tool, but it is like, one of like our super intelligent, members in a family, which can actually help them at any given point of time, with a much better, accurate and impressive way. One of my partner, Girish, actually comes with the idea that like, how about AuRA? Because it's called like Aussizz Reliable Assistant, and it actually makes you feel that it's a member of Aussizz, and it has the name, AuRA. It's actually, you can feel it, right? And I'm very excited with that name, and it says like, love at first sight, kind of. And so when I hear the name, I just loved it, and I said, no, this is the name what we wanted, and it's now the part of the family.
Very good. One of the key things I think is that the last word in there of AuRA is assistant. So it's not meant to be the person replacing a person, it's just meant to assist them.
Assist
and that's
them.
probably the key thing about it.
That was also an idea, that we also want to give the confidence to a team that like, we are not here to replace, we are here to empower you.
You talked about the applications that it has beyond migration into things like education, account sales, etc. Where does this evolve into? How does this evolve into the rest of the business?
Just like how immigration is one of the functionality where we are actually serving the clients for their migration need, right? But it's not just that simple how you run the business. There is obviously a lot of time you need the understanding about the education, and sometimes you have to connect with the consultants, who understands the education better. And there's a department of education. Then obviously marketing is one of the core area of Aussizz. Obviously we have to actually be zero in the market. Then only we can actually feed, the need of our consultants, right? The same way, like there's the accounting side, there's a sales side, there's a lot of side, right? And every department has some kind of need. Every department has their own knowledge base. Every department has their own trainings and support system, And we believe that like similarly how in a migration, as I said, like if you are newbie or you don't know the things, and sometimes you rely on the more experienced and senior person, right? Sometimes it's time taking. Sometimes it actually just kills the client's experience. Similarly, like, when it comes to the sales, marketing, accounting, I think they are the department which efficients the business, and I believe that like, even though, their challenges are somewhere, creating the challenge in terms of the overall business development, and I believe that like when AuRA will actually empower them with its intelligence, and the speed and accuracy and anytime attention nature, I think all these departments will become more efficient, which will actually help the business in overall way to grow and to take its leap, right? And the similar, like when it comes to the education, is again the knowledge base. So similar like in immigration, how we have actually got the breakthrough, we now actually working on the education. Then we obviously work on the HR, so company policies, and all the consultants, all the staff members like can actually get better answer in a more realistic and real time, rather than relying on the email to come back, and then they can actually resolve the query. So we not just actually creating the client experience better, but we are also actually empowering our own staff and also like enhancing their experience to work in the company, and obviously enhancing certain departments in the behind the scene will help us like to grow much faster and scalable way, where we can actually lead the industry with much efficient way.
Sounds like there's a lot of real benefits, not just for the front end facing team, but for the whole business. And I suppose broadly from a recruitment perspective as well, it's going to be really helpful in terms of attracting new staff into Aussizz, because people are going to get on top of the training that happens on a regular basis. They're also going to have access to tools that make them more efficient.
Yes. obviously AI is just the new hype. But obviously, even in the old days, if you see our 16 years of journey, like we always been like focusing on the empowering the team, and helping them like to become a better version of themselves. And that's how we can also actually create a better experience for the client. And that's the reason like why Aussizz is a like known name, in the industry.
How has the team received AuRA so far?
The more senior consultant who has more experience and intelligence, I think they still have a little bit of things where they are still in traditional method, because they are very accurate, they have the speed, because they're experienced, they are still doing better. Obviously, in most of the cases they know the answer, they've been so much of experience, right? But the AuRA has got like tremendous welcome from the new members who are not much experienced. I think they got the idea that like rather than going to the senior people, it is a good to have like first an experience with the AuRA and getting the answer. And I think they are very happy with it. They are actually finding it very useful and very
accelerates their growth.
Accelerating.
That's a really good tool, I think, because there's so much to learn within the space. There's so many different subtleties and nuances that if you have to go to one person for advice all the time, takes a lot of time, very time consuming. If you have a tool that actually has all the information, it just makes it a lot easier for them to work on multiple cases at one time.
Yes.
What's next for Aussizz?
So we are very excited actually, because there was a lot of buzz with the AI that like AI will replace the industry, AI will replace the human beings. And obviously, I was researching and studying and understanding a lot of case studies since last 3 years, since OpenAI ChatGPT has been released. First we actually try to use it efficient, like our staff members, so they can actually do many isolated things in an efficient way. Obviously it took a year for people to convince that like you should use it. It's not there to replace you, efficient you. Obviously gradually people started to understand that like you cannot stop this AI revolution. It is there, and you have to adopt, accept, and then you have to understand how you can actually fit yourself into it. Obviously there were lots of questions, but then I realized that like in most of the way, if you actually use the AI tools into your advantage, it's not there to replace you. It's there to efficient and empower. Obviously the way of communication, way of dealing, the way of market, how it's traditionally dealt, it may change, but it's not going to replace, that's for sure. But the people who will actually stay in a in insecurity and who will actually comes with the like a long-term idea of rejecting the tools, I believe they will have the threats, because obviously later stage they will also adopt it, accept it, and again put themselves, but they will actually struggle in that between the period, where the other peoples will actually outperform their traditional experience or expertise, because they're just rejecting the idea of AI. So I'm very much excited that like in coming days now, as much as you embrace the AI for empowering your team to enhance your client experience, to empower your brand values and to goes into like a more serviceability, right? I think it has immense opportunity. As like we have just got a breakthrough in AuRA, I think like I'm very much confident, I'm very much hopeful that like Aussizz is going to lead the way.
Excellent. Thanks, Dharmendra. That's really insightful. And I think from a customer perspective as well, what's really important is that what we're doing here is to enhance your experience, to provide you with better advice, more clarity in terms of the information you're getting, so you can proceed with more peace of mind. And I think ultimately that's what we're trying to achieve. So congratulations on the launch of AuRA. Congratulations on the team that you're building and how things are developing. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next.
Thank you, David. Thank you, everyone.